On this day, there isn't a cloud in the sky. The sun is beaming down. You wouldn't expect it, but even Lavender Town can be quite beautiful in the summer months. It's the 3rd day of July, and a young man is making his way to the town square. It's here that we find a great tower, standing tall, firm, and menacing. The Lavender Town Pokémon Tower, a place where departed Pokémon can rest in peace, a place where ghost Pokémon dwell. With a white envelope in hand, the young man trudges his way up to the tower's 3rd floor. Here, the young man hesitantly walks over to one of the graves. It's a large grave, and an oddly shaped one at that. While shedding a single tear, the young man takes one last look at the white envelope and leans down to the base of the grave, leaving the envelope there. He wipes his tears, smiles, and places his hand on the grave, closing his eyes. With his eyes closed tight, several short images flash in his mind of him and his Whiscash, eating together at lakes, battling wild Pokémon, even enjoying a quick ride on Whiscash to get across a river or lake. The man opens his eyes and slowly takes his hand away from the grave. He turns around and walks back down the stairs. Several hours pass by, and the summer weather has turned vicious. The wind is howling, and the rain pounds down hard on the old bricks of the tower, leaking through the cracks in the walls, making the inside of the tower cold and damp, just like an outdoor cemetery. The lights on the 3rd floor of the tower fade out, as if something sucked out the power from them. Even the decorational wall candles are blown out by the howling wind. For a few seconds, there is silence, as a small black orb begins floating around. First, there was 1, but then 2, then 3, and suddenly, many of these orbs came out of the shadows to float around. One of these orbs grows into a Gastly. This Gastly floats around to the grave, where the white envelope lays at the base. Upon reaching the grave, Gastly uses its ghostly powers to open the envelope, to discover a handwritten letter from the young man, addressed to a Whiscash. The contents of the letter are as follows. "Hello Whiscash, I'm writing this letter to you because I wanted to give you a proper goodbye. I wanted to tell you how much I loved you, but I never got the chance. So, in this letter, I'm going to do just that. Here goes. I first met you as a Barboach in Cerulean City in the Kanto region. I still have no idea what Barboach was doing there. I assume you had a previous trainer who released you in the river, leading up to the Cerulean Cave. Anyway, I didn't think much of you when I first saw you. You were just a rare Pokemon I wanted to catch. Of course, I was just a dumb kid trainer back then. Well, I still am a bit. I remember you weren't the best at battling back then, so I caught you pretty easily. I had no idea what you were back then, and the Pokédex couldn't identify you either. I had to take you to a Pokemon Center to ask Nurse Joy if she had any idea, but she didn't. I then called Professor Oak in the PC, and he was able to tell me you were a Barboach. I was shocked when he told me you were from the Hoenn region, and that you were a water ground type Pokemon. I'd never heard of something like that at the time. Since you were rare and new, I felt like showing you off in as many battles as I could. I pushed you to your limits. I never really apologised for that, and I'm very sorry. A good trainer knows when to let their Pokemon rest. Clearly, I wasn't the best of trainers back then. I remember one time where I got mad at you when you lost to a Beedrill just outside of Saffron City. You were already exhausted and I put way too much pressure on you. Oh, you were a brilliant help to me in my battle against Lieutenant Surge. He had no idea what you were, and he couldn't figure out why his Raichu couldn't do anything to you with its electric attacks. I think it wasn't until our battle against Sabrina that I really started to understand you. You were my last Pokemon, and during the heat of battle I felt your heart calling out to me, telling me that you had to win, telling me that you wanted to show me how strong you were. We didn't back down that day, and we managed to come out on top. I've worked as a team with my other Pokemon before, but I guess for the first half of our journey together, I kinda saw you as a mysterious wildcard I could use to confuse my opponents. Instead of using you, I should have spent more time getting to know you. If I did that, maybe you'd still be here today. I remember the day you evolved into Whiscash. It was the battle for the Volcano badge. Even though you were really strong against fire types, you were just a small Barboach at the time, trying to take on Blaine's high-level Magmar. There were several times I thought that Magmar was going to make you a campfire roast. But just as things started to look hopeless, you began to glow. You really came through for me on that day. Evolving into a Whiscash in the middle of such an important battle is a memory that will stick with me for the rest of my life. Ever since then, you were a jolly Whiscash who loved to play around, even during a battle. I learned shortly after your evolution how different you were from your species, which made me love you even more, because that meant you were special and unique compared to other Whiscash. We never won the Indigo League, but you did so well and we gave them all a run for it at money. Coming in the top 8 was great for our first attempt. I will never forget how happy I was when all of my Pokemon and I were able to work as one during the tournament. All in all, you did really well back then. You were strong and confident, as well as a little bit silly. You used to do a little victory dance every time we won a battle together, which was funny. I wish we could have had more time together, eating lunch at the lakes and rivers, battling against trainers and gym leaders, but that silver-eyed maniac ruined everything. I remember it like it was yesterday. We were travelling in the Johto region when we came across that guy with red hair and silver eyes. I don't know what his name was. It was supposed to be like any other battle. I challenged him, but he thought I was weak. I wanted to prove him wrong, and decided to have you take the lead. I wish I had left him alone that day. His Feraligatr was awful. I have never seen so much blood before. It was over in a matter of seconds. Nurse Joy and all the Chancellor couldn't do a thing to save you. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was stubborn. I'm sorry I didn't see how dangerous he was. I'm sorry we couldn't have more days together. I promise that losing you won't make me give up on my dream to challenge my idol Lance. One day, in your honour, I'll make my way to the Johto League and win. Me and all our Pokemon friends love and miss you so much, Whiscash. You'll forever be in our hearts, and we grow and battle together. No one truly knows what the Pokemon afterlife is like, but we're all wishing you well, wherever you may be. Goodbye, Whiscash. After reading, the Gastly licked the letter and smiled cheerily. Gastly spins rapidly while floating in the air and flies through the wall of the Pokemon Tower, allowing the letter to slowly float down to the top of Whiscash's grave.